Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Vineyard Collective podcast. My name is Samuel Warden. I am one of the hosts. The Vineyard Collective podcast has been created to have everyday conversations with people. It's a chance where we get to slow down, have conversations about creativity, healing, prophetic, whatever it is, you name it, we'll talk about it. So come join us. We love you guys. We'll see you on the podcast. Hey, what's up? We've got Nichole here today. What's up, Nichole?
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Guys. Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about you before we get started.
Yeah. Man. Okay, so I grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
Grand Rapids.
What part? Glove?
Seriously,
Wait.
Every Michigander.
Glove? Wait.
Yeah. No.
I lived in Michigan for a year.
You
Right
did?
hand. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so right here. That's
Right
where
here.
I live. I actually have a dot on my hand.
Right here.
It's pretty great. So it's kind of like where
You've been
I
marked
used to.
by the Lord.
Yeah, seriously.
Make it super
Oh, my
spiritual and
word.
dramatic.
Where'd you
lived in
stay?
Troy, Michigan for...
Okay, so the other side.
Yeah, for
That's
like
cool.
a year.
That's really cool.
Okay, so you grew up in Michigan.
Michigan's the best.
Okay.
I'm from a family of 7, so I have 4
What?
siblings. Yep.
Where do you fall?
It's awesome. I'm the second oldest.
Okay.
So first girl.
Wow.
It's great. I love being with my family. Like we grew up going camping, being outdoors.
Yeah.
So I love all those things. I actually live in a fifth wheel right now.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Some people might not know what that is, so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
So basically it's a trailer,
Okay.
and my husband and I, we met in college, and
Okay.
basically we got married like a year and a half after.
Where'd you go to college?
Olivet Nazarene
Okay,
University.
nice. Yeah. Okay,
So
cool.
we were kind of figuring out, like what type of housing do we do?
Yeah.
And we just said, we don't want to do the typical like apartment housing.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, what could we do that's creative? So
Yeah.
we were looking at Pinterest, Instagram. I followed a couple of people who
Wow.
did this before.
Okay.
And basically we were like, okay, let's just like buy a camper and renovate it.
That's so cool.
So I know some people probably think that's
Is it like
crazy,
a tiny home
but
then? Like
yeah, basically.
People can put it into frame like a tiny home?
Yep. So
Okay.
yeah, we live on some property.
Okay.
And basically, yeah, we started like renovating. So we took out the flooring, put down like wood flooring.
Did you YouTube it? That's the real question. 'Cause
like
now
our process?
Yes, because now people are
Yeah.
making millions doing that.
I know, it's
Like,
crazy. It's
come on.
crazy. Yeah, we like kind of did some video
Okay.
like of the process, but I don't know. It's so hard because you're like
In the middle of it?
trying to do this renovation, and then you're
Yeah.
also trying to work a job, and
That's crazy.
So I feel like someday I would love to.
We
but
might have to like post. You might have to take pictures so we can post about it.
Totally.
Because that's crazy. Like we follow some people on YouTube that like
Yeah.
they will do like Sprinter vans. Like you know what I'm talking about, where they like
Honestly,
renovate the vans,
so
which
cool.
I low key want one.
You should get
Because
one.
we could just like
It's so
we
cool.
could all just travel, just everyone just Sprinter van up.
Yeah.
And then we just head
It's
out.
so cool.
Like it's super cool. So
We should do
you
it.
came to Illinois. How did you get
Yep.
plugged into the Vineyard?
Yeah. So let's see. In college, I was in a small group.
Okay.
And basically, I'd never heard of the Vineyard before.
Wow.
And this small group, we were doing Sockham,
Yeah.
which it was super cool because we just got an opportunity to grow like really close to each other. And basically, we would come up to Holy Spirit nights, which
Oh, that's awesome.
crazy.
We just had
Like,
them too.
yeah, it was so cool. So when I did that, I like would see Di and
Yeah.
Hap on stage, and it was like, oh my word, these guys are like insane. But then, so we moved here, and Colin was like, I want to go to the Vineyard because like
Wow.
we've had some experience with the church before. And so I was like, okay, cool. I needed a job at the time
Yeah.
too. So basically, we actually go to the Sullivan Vineyard.
Yeah.
And I had told some people there, I was like, I'm looking for a job. Like I
Yeah.
just graduated. I would love to like just have a good place to work. And so people were like, well, we're hiring at the Vineyard. Like
Yeah.
you should check it out. So basically I got hired on to
Yeah.
the creative team without actually like going to school for that. So that's even crazy too, that the
That's
Lord
awesome,
opened
though.
that door.
I think it's cool to like some people like
Yeah.
we got Arnie who like went to school
Yeah.
for design, which he's a beast.
Yeah.
But I think
He's so
like
cool.
you, my wife, like
Yeah.
you guys just picked it up as a hobby, and all of a sudden
Crazy.
you're like really good at it. And
Yeah.
it's awesome. So okay, so you're on staff here. You're on the creative team.
Yeah.
What are some things that inspire you? Like,
Yeah.
what are some things, and then we'll get into like the meat
That's
of
cool.
like an actual creative conversation. But like, what's some things
Come
that
on.
inspire you?
I love the outdoors. So
Okay.
honestly, like anything outdoorsy, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of REI,
Yeah.
but like I love REI. honestly, like I look at other churches too,
Okay.
and I'm just super inspired by what they create.
Yeah.
I don't know, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, that's a great
Seriously?
one. That's a great one.
So yeah, I mean, if I see something and it's like, oh, that's really cool. Usually I'm like, okay, I've got a couple ideas of like what I might want to create from that. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool. I think you're a huge win for our team. Like
Thanks.
me and my wife both are like, dude, Nicole's awesome. And we were
awesome.
talking about like, who do we get on the podcast? And I was like,
Yeah.
let's just get Nichole. And she's like, absolutely. So
you guys are awesome.
one of the things that I love about you is you're like you're an encourager. I feel like you're a person that likes to encourage people. Like, no, we can do this. We'll figure it out.
So good.
But being creatives, I think sometimes we can fall into the like pitfall of like we just recreate things.
Totally.
We don't actually like create something new.
Yeah.
And I love that like you're, especially on social media, you kind of manage a lot of our social media. Like you're taking more risk with like design elements and what things look like. Why do you think it's easier to recreate versus actually creating? Like what do you think is like the difference, or maybe like the hardships of like both?
I think sometimes like, you see ideas and it's like, okay, like that looks really cool. I want to just run with that idea.
Yeah.
So I think there's a benefit to like that element of, okay, like I don't have to just create this whole new idea.
Right.
But there's another side where it's like, the Lord's given me a gift of creativity and I don't want to just have a like copy of someone else's product basically.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely a tension of like, well, for one, time, like you need time to create. Right. So I think that's really hard sometimes to find time to like just think of creative ideas. But when you have the space, it's like, okay, I just want to give myself freedom to like be me and let what the Lord's like put inside of me to just be shown through like what I produce.
Yeah. So what you just said is like, give time to just be me.
Yeah, totally.
Like when did you start figuring out like, I actually might have a really creative mind? Like, because I think like for me, if I'm being real, you're probably like, no way. I've never qualified myself as a creative until I met my wife.
You're kidding me.
Never. My whole life I'd be like, not creative. I don't know what I'm doing. I would not qualify myself. And my wife was like, dude, you're super creative. I'm like, no, I'm
totally.
not. And then like, I wish like I knew that younger, because I probably would have done like more things to like probably cultivate that gift. So when did you find out like, oh, I'm actually a creative mind?
Yeah.
And then how did you start stewarding that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Last
there's
year,
different. Yeah, seriously, when I got this job, right now I'm still figuring it out.
I just realized
that's so true though. Like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Honestly, that is true though, because I think like for me, I didn't go to school for like graphic design or website design. So I think my experience, similar to your wife's, has been like I've been learning as I go, and so I think I can sometimes feel this disqualification of like, oh, I haven't gotten the like professional degree in this. So I think people can limit themselves to like, you need that degree to be creative, but actually like,
which it can help.
It can help for sure.
It's not the only way.
For sure. But like the Lord's given me an eye for creativity and design. And I think I know like when I was younger, I used to just love like, I don't know, drawing out like house designs and like.
I just found out you're an artist in our table talk today.
Like, oh man.
So when did you start noticing that? You said you started drawing as a kid, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, in art classes, it was cool because like my teachers would just point out like, oh, your artwork is so amazing. And they would like use it to show other people. Wow. And usually you were like, what are you talking about? No way.
Yeah.
So I would say like growing up, I think other people saw that in me. And so, as you hear people like kind of affirm a gift, it's like, okay, actually like God's given me this gift. And so like, I'm going to run with that.
Yeah.
So
I think that's huge. Like, okay, God gave me that gift. Like, I think for me, like I didn't know how to accept the gift.
Oh yeah.
Like, so that's one thing that I love to do is like, I love to show people and prove to them that you are actually creative. Yeah. Even if you don't qualify yourself.
So good.
Because that's how I was. I didn't qualify myself. We were creative, so we're creative now,
Right.
But one thing that I love that I think I hear you talking about, our offices moved up closer to the creative team, and I kind of hear your guys' conversations, which I love. But you're really big on creative culture, I think. Yeah. Is that something, am I hitting the nail on the head right there?
Yeah, you are. I mean, in general, just culture.
But like, I feel like you've been a voice for like, we need a really big creative culture. What about creative culture? Why is it so important? Yeah. Not only in work, but at home and in your everyday life. Why is it huge?
I think you are creating space You know, I think if you don't have that space to be able to like talk through creative ideas or even just grow as a team, being creative, like where are you going to go? Right. You know, so I think like creating that culture of, okay, like not only do we have a creative process of how we like actually go step by step to like see an end result, but also you're creating a space to just like have brainstorming and like throw out ideas. And even if you don't actually create something with those ideas, it's like, well, at least we had space to share them and at least we felt the freedom to like, I don't know, just be ourselves together. So yeah, I'm huge on relationships and like building team. And I think any creative team, like you need that space together to actually just like process through ideas.
So I think it's easy to be like creative isolated.
Totally.
Like I think I'd probably say the majority of creatives, it's easier to do it by yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you know what? We don't have to pass it to you. I'm just doing it myself.
Exactly.
But when a creative team, a culture has to be very prevalent.
Totally.
Or people feel pushed down or, you know, kind of a thing.
Totally.
And one thing I love is that like you're championing this thing. I don't know if you realize you've said this. You're like being myself. Yeah. Being myself or being ourselves. Cool. I think in the world that has a lot of creatives, whether it's Christians or non-Christians, right, it's sometimes harder to accept your side of creativity.
That's so true.
Like I look at like Kirsten or Arnie with their design. I'm like, I ain't trying to learn all that software right now. Like what?
Oh man.
You know, I look at Rich's videos and I'm like, oh, it's crazy. Dude's a freak. You know, kind of thing.
We need him though.
Yeah, right. And
I can't do that.
Right. And so it's realizing like the acceptance of who I am. Yeah. And how God's designed me to be creative is actually like a catalytic thing for people around me. Yeah. So why don't you talk about, just preach to me, Nichole. Yeah. About accepting yourself as a creative. Totally. Like who you are, how you create. Like you don't look like Arnie, you don't look like Kirsten, you don't look like like you are Nichole and you have your own creative thing. Talk to me about how can people start walking in that? And I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let you preach.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me personally, I think it's been just a journey of like, first of all, believing who the Lord's called me to be and set the things that he's said about me. So, you know, like we talk a lot about identity and relationship, and then you walk in your destiny. And I think for me personally, like recognizing, okay, God, like you call me your daughter, you say that like I'm loved, that I'm accepted. And so when I say, or when I believe those things about what God said, then it really like pushes me to be free in myself wherever I am. So like with our creative team, I'm not Arnie, I'm not Tess. They have amazing gifts and like so much to offer. But then if I only believe that about others and don't believe that about myself, like
now you're preaching.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like we all need to like, I don't know, just recognize the gold that God's put inside of us, you know, because then we can walk in the confidence and courage that, okay, like once I see that I have a gift, I have a seat at the table, like, if I wasn't at the table, like there'd be something missing. Yeah. Basically, like we're
and that's
a
not
team.
Being prideful though. Yeah. I think that's recognizing, because I think people are like, oh, that sounds like being prideful. No, it's not. It's actually accepting that you were worth dying for.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And that means your life is worth living for now.
Yeah. Come on.
Anyway,
that's so good. Oh man.
So if I was at the table, something would be missing. Keep going on that.
Yeah. I mean, like the creative team, we have so many different people on our team who have different gifts that they bring. And I think this year especially, I feel like I've been realizing, okay, like what do I have to bring, and like how can I not only hold that inside but like share that with my team. And that can be a vulnerable process too, because you're like, oh, like
especially if you share something, everyone's like,
it's like, okay, shoot. But I think that's all part of like being a family. You know, you have this space to be free in yourself, and then when other people like see you being free, then they also like start being free in themselves too, which I think I've really seen in our team this year is, you know, we've started to create this culture, like you're saying, of sharing ideas and being ourselves. And when we do that, it's like our team is unstoppable, you know, like the things that we're creating and the culture that we're building together is amazing. And it's really just a reflection of the Father's heart.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things that like you're kind of softly hitting the button on is like the culture inside of you. Yeah. So you've been talking about like celebrating your other teammates and being like, you know, these teammates bring something to the table that I don't. I think it's so easy sometimes to like the culture inside of you is not healthy.
Right.
Because you don't think well of yourself, and then it causes you to lead to not think well of other people.
Right.
And I think Bill Johnson said this. This is the first person I'm going to credit Bill Johnson for this, but it's the first person I said it. Culture either happens by default or design. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so easy, like, for things to go to default, which is always like horrible. Like, it's never
not
good.
healthy.
Yeah,
no.
You know? But I think what you're saying is like being intentional, like with design. So one of the things I want to ask is like, how do you keep the culture inside of Nichole like healthy?
Yeah.
Because like, I'm not saying you've never had bad days at work. Or
I've had my bad days.
Good God.
Yeah, seriously.
But you're always just positive. Like you're always a positive thinker. And I think it's like one of the big things that we can realize is that like you don't have to go through a dark time to be creative. Yeah. You can be joyful and be extremely creative at the same time.
Totally.
So how do you cultivate that creative inner culture that's like, we're going to do this. We've got this. What are some things that you do?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so important to just have space with the Lord to like hear his voice, hear what he has to say.
What does that look like?
Yeah, for me personally. Yeah, I mean,
it'll look like different for most people.
Totally.
Like, what is yours?
And I think you have different seasons of like, I don't know, health and then not. But
yeah, for sure. You're struggling. Like, God, please answer me.
Lord, I need you.
Right.
Oh man, I just hit that mic. Yes.
You're good.
Yeah, I mean, I love going outside, like just going on walks, because I feel like for me, I need that clear like headspace to just talk with the Lord. I'm such an external processor, so it's like, okay, I just need to talk to you, Lord, about what's going on.
And talk out loud and not sound crazy.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, I live on like 200 acres, so nobody can hear me.
So no one can hear you.
Exactly.
Like, you don't know how crazy I really am.
This lady, what in the world?
Okay, so you go on walks, talk to the Lord. What else do you do?
I spend time like reading the Word. I feel like that is just so important, especially nowadays. I feel like a lot of people are looking for truth, and like the place that you find truth is the Word, is being in the presence of the Lord and like actually letting his heart like penetrate yours and hearing him speak and letting the Holy Spirit like inspire things too. So yeah, I mean, I love just journaling. I love reading the Word. I think since, sometimes life can feel so busy, honestly, it's just taking time to stop and pause. And then like my husband and I, we love to worship together. Okay.
And he's a drummer.
So yeah, he's a drummer.
You sing, he drums.
Yep. He plays guitar too.
He plays guitar too? Okay.
Yep. Wow. I'm learning slowly.
Really? Okay.
But yeah.
He's a beast of a drummer too.
He is a beast.
I remember the first time I saw him, I'm like, who's this homeboy with the fresh fade up here? I'm like, okay, Dan. They're like, oh, he's from Sullivan.
Yep. And his wife did the fade.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And Nichole gave him the fade.
Come on.
$25 on Wednesday. No, I'm kidding.
Let's go. Got my own studio.
Right. Okay, so you and your husband, you worship together?
Yeah. So. I mean, I would say when it comes to like art and creativity, I love just like watercolor painting. So I actually try to find time to paint. It doesn't always happen, but
and you doodle. You're an artist.
Yep. Yeah, I love calligraphy. Like,
do you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know. There's just so many different things where I'm like, if I can learn something new and then it like actually goes well, like, I just love it. So.
Yeah, I think one of the fun things is in creativity is the exploration side to find out like what you're actually not good at, but like what you like love.
Right.
Like, and then you become good in it. Like
totally.
I still don't know if Photoshop's my thing because like they're still trying to teach me and
it's rough.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Honestly, with Photoshop, I think I just taught myself all these weird tricks and
Kirsten
like
doesn't.
ways to
She
do
says
it.
she doesn't do it the orthodox way.
Oh man, me neither. Which is okay.
I appreciate
it because
when she tries to teach me, she's like, press this, but I'm like, I don't know what that button does. Like, someone help.
What is that called?
Kind of
Right?
No, I love that you came on to be able to talk about creativity and have a conversation. What are some things, Nichole, that like you find as a creative, I don't want to call them like stumbling blocks, but maybe like things that cause you to like question like identity or question, because I think it's easy to be like trust the Lord, which we should. The things you're saying are so true. Like the word, creative genius behind creating the Bible is actually nuts. It's not just like, oh, you piece things together. It's freaking ridiculous. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, but it baffles me. But what are some like the pitfalls or some of the things that you can maybe get yourself caught up in that limits creativity? That might be a vulnerable thing to ask, and you'd be like, bro, we're not going to answer that. But I think it helps people who are creative be like, oh, I'm not the only one, kind of.
Yeah. Honestly, I think for me, when I see other people creating stuff that's like super cool, I think sometimes the spirit of comparison can be a thing that comes up where it's like, man, like I thought what I was creating was cool, but like that's so much better.
Yeah.
So I think there's a place where, you know, you have to realize, okay, like I can't create the same exact thing. Like, yeah. So I think that's one thing. Honestly, like if I have a lot going on, I just feel like stifled in creativity.
Yeah.
So I think just figuring out how to manage, like, I don't know, all the things.
Busyness.
Yeah, it can be tough. Yeah, I don't know. I think if I'm not healthy personally, like that can also play into it, where if my soul and my spirit is tired, then I feel like I just am tired creatively.
Creatively.
There you go.
There we go. We got it.
Yeah. So I think those are the main things. Yeah. Not having time, comparison, and just being tired.
Yeah.
So
let's say a pastor or church leaders listening to this from another church. What are some things that you could encourage to help create a culture of creativity?
Totally.
What would Nichole give advice? I know. Give me two things.
Good question.
Yeah, two things that you say, hey, if you were on their staff, what are two things that you would value?
I would value, the team relationship. I think creating space for your team to not just like talk through the tasks that you have, but actually like have space to brainstorm together new ideas. Our team has actually started doing that, and it's been amazing just to see like the stuff that people think of that they may not have shared before, but like when you have the space to share your ideas, it's just like so cool.
Yeah.
So I'd say that is really important. And then actually like, I think the process too, like the creative process of, okay, like we have the vision. So now how do we figure out how to execute the vision? Like you need a process for something to like be done well.
Yeah.
And I think our culture here, we really value excellence too. So I think just, I don't know, not expecting perfection from people, but like really championing them into like the giftings that they have.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a reverse question.
Yeah.
What are a couple things that you could tell if someone's culture is not doing that? What are some things like, hey, if you're starting to notice this,
totally,
you might want to check in on the team?
Yeah.
When no one shows up to work. No, I'm kidding.
Seriously.
Everyone quits that week.
When someone's crying at their desk, like, you should probably check in on them. No. I honestly, personally, I have a hard time saying no. So I think if someone is constantly saying yes to things, and like you also can tell that they're stressed, which they may not tell you, but I think you can just read a person. Like
they're crying at their desk.
Seriously, they're shutting down.
Right.
No, I think just being aware of like, are we doing way too much? Like if you're doing too much, but actually you're not accomplishing like the vision of the church. Yeah. I would say that's a trigger.
Hey, Rich, I just heard Rich go,
come on. That's so good.
I love that. Like, no, you guys can't see this, but we see like Kirsten and Rich's face like, oh, man, Nichole preaching right now. Buckle up. We going for another 10.
Yes. Oh man. I forgot the question. What was the question again? Seriously.
Things that you can tell that culture you just talked about is not happening.
Okay.
Where it might be an indicator like, okay, it might be unhealthy. We might need to look at our culture.
Okay.
First one was people who are saying yes all the time.
Right.
When you're like, wow, they're actually overloaded, overworked, stressed. Okay, what's another one? Just one more.
Ooh. Let's see. I'm just trying to think of like personal experience.
I mean, it doesn't have to be personal. You can be like things you've heard or things that you've learned on podcasts or whatever.
I think if people are just like reacting to stuff instead of like feeling like they have space to like think of new ideas, I think that's another thing. I mean, especially like now with everything that's happened in this last year, I think, we've recognized there's definitely been times where we've reacted as a church. Yeah. But I think sometimes you need to just slow down and actually like figure out, okay, what is important right now? Yeah. Like, are we actually hitting like the goal that we've set out to do, really, which is to make disciples, to like share the love of Jesus. Yeah. And if you're not accomplishing that, I think then, you have to take a step back and kind of reevaluate, like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's kind of a savage thing to do, though. Like, what are we doing?
It is hard.
I think it's huge, though, because I think when we're reactionary, like, I don't know where Kirsten and I heard this, but they said, like, aren't you thankful that, like, when you call 911, it's not the emergency reaction team?
Yeah.
Where they're like, you're like, hey, I'm bleeding out. And someone's like,
no
way. Like, it's emergency response team. Tell me where you're at. Let me help you get there. Let me help you save you. And I think creatively, like you said, when things come up, it's easy to become assembly line workers or reactionary to, like, you have to do this. It's just like response is, this is going to take 2 months.
Right.
And we actually bring this person in the conversation.
Exactly.
So, Nichole, this was an awesome conversation. I love being able to have you on.
It's so fun.
Here's what I would like for you to do, if that's cool. Would you just pray over anybody watching, whether they're in leadership, whether they're just someone who works at Kroger or someone who works at Schnucks or Walmart or whatever, like wherever they are, and they're like, man, I feel this urge in my heart to accept my creativity. Yeah. Would you just pray over them? Rich, which camera should you look at? I don't know. Look at that one right there.
That one?
Do the middle one.
Yeah, definitely.
So go ahead.
Wait, middle one.
Yeah,
this
the
one.
small
right
one.
Here.
Wait, this one, the big one.
The big one.
There's
so
multiple
many
cameras over here. This one right over here.
Come on. Yeah. Yeah, Lord, I thank you so much for each person that's listening to this. I thank you that you have created them in your image, God, and that you have filled them with your life. God, I pray that you would just open their eyes so that they can see just the person that you've made them to be, that they don't look at other people and try to compare their gifts, but God, that they see the gift of creativity and of beauty that you've placed inside of them, and that they start to step into that, God, and that they're not walking in fear or comparison, Lord, but that they walk just in the freedom and in the life that you have given them. So yeah, I bless the creativity and just the life that you've placed in each one of us here. And we just say more, Lord. Amen.
Amen. So good. So good.
So good.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to play a quick game.
Of course. Oh, man.
You know this game, 5 for 5. Yeah. I'm going to say 5 words.
Sweet.
You tell me the first things that come to your mind.
Oh, my word. Okay.
We've had a range of just answers where I've had to hold it together. Okay. So feel free to say whatever you want to say.
Okay.
Number 1 is watercolors.
Blue.
The way you looked at me like blue.
I don't know why I said blue, but that came to mind. I think it's because there's a blue curtain. That's probably why.
Okay. So watercolors is blue. Number 2, music.
Life.
Wow. Okay. Design.
Freedom.
Okay. The Vineyard Church.
Hap. Honestly.
Half you're getting love.
Yes, come on.
Right now.
So good.
The last thing, creativity.
I just saw like a thought bubble.
Okay.
I don't know.
Endless?
Endless. Yeah, that's a good word. Endless.
I love it.
That's so good.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Fun. Nichole is awesome. Follow her on social media or check out her work on our church's social media. Like and subscribe. Make sure you share this with someone if this blessed you, especially because you are creative. So we love you and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Boom.
What'd you think, Nichole?
That was fun. Wow. I didn't know what to expect at first, but so good.